Hi guys, and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Kieran. Today I'm going to be talking about my most favorite books. If you follow me on Instagram and on Insta stories, you will know that I love to read, and nothing makes me more excited than getting lost in a really good book. Since Ramadan is over in Dubai and since Eid has gotten done, and I know a lot of people are going to be leaving for their summer vacations, I get questioned all the time by my friends, recommend a good book for us to read. So that's what I'm going to do for you guys. The first book I'm going to talk about is a book called A Gentleman in Moscow by a guy whose name I'm about to butcher. Immortals. That's how I pronounce it. I'm sure that's not how he or you guys pronounce it, but anyhow. The book is about a count who, post the Russian Revolution, gets put in house arrest and is told to go and live in a hotel in Moscow. And it's 1922. He's in there for a few decades and the world around him sort of unravels. And it is such a beautifully written book. It's one of those that I really enjoyed and savored coming back to, which typically, like I said, are not the kind of books that I like to read. But it is just so nicely written. And his sense of humor is amazing. The way he refers to things. I love the author's style of writing more than anything else. I love the way he narrates the Count's life inside the hotel. It is a really good book, has great recommendations on Amazon. So I'm not the only one who's telling you to go read it. But if you like those kind of books, definitely give it a read. The second book I'm going to talk about is a book called The Husband's Secret by Liane Moriarty. I know I'm butchering her first name, but I watched Sherlock Holmes, so I know the Moriarty part is right, so that's what I'm going to call her. Moriarty writes a story about a woman who goes up to the attic and basically discovers a letter written by her husband to be opened upon his death. Of course, the husband is still alive, and of course, the wife opens the letter eventually. But the story that unfolds is the story about what happens next. It is a great, gripping book. Moriarty is also the one who has written Big Little Lies, that is the show on HBO that I know a lot of people loved. I much preferred the book, but that's just me. I usually do prefer books and I don't like movie or TV adaptations. That's not a great book. If you guys haven't watched the TV show, read that as well. But yes, The Husband's Secret is my second recommendation. My third recommendation is actually similar to my first, as in it is based in the same place. It's based in Russia and it's actually based around the same time. It's based on the Russian Revolution, and this one actually talks about the Romanov family, whereas Gentleman in Moscow doesn't really talk about the revolution at all. But this one that I'm talking about is called The Secret Wife by Gil Paul. This book falls under the genre of historical fiction and basically talks about the Grand Duchess from the Romanovs and her love affair with a soldier from the army and what would have happened had she actually stayed alive. It is so beautifully written and it just sort of immerses you in the story. And I'm not too huge a fan of history. I don't like reading non-fiction books. I don't like reading about history. I sort of failed history in school, although I did my history A-levels. I don't know why that was, but yes. Even if you don't enjoy reading historical books, this book sort of does bring in facts, so you will enjoy Googling things and finding out, did this really happen? Did that really happen? And sort of finding out what actually did. It's a very sad story in real life, of course, because they got assassinated, but it just is a great book and I enjoyed that mingling between fact and fiction. That's the part that I actually really enjoyed. Having said that, the book has been very well researched, so beautifully written, and it is such a great love story. Highly recommended. The fourth book I'm going to talk about is a book called The Girl Before by Rena Olson. I actually listened to this book on Audible. If you guys have not checked out Audible yet, I highly recommend it. I always thought Audible was for people who were perhaps in the gym a lot or had long commutes and couldn't physically read a book but wanted to listen to it instead so that they could still get through books or whatever. but I actually really enjoyed the experience. You know when you guys watch people doing auditions for TV shows or for movies and they change their voice, they change their pitch, and their character comes out just in the reading of the script? That is what an audible book is like. A good narrator literally brings the movie out to life, or bring the book, did I just say movie? Bring the book out to life for you, and it changes, they change their voice, if they're scared, if they're happy, if they're sad, their voice changes, they read the script of the male and the female differently, and I thoroughly enjoy a lot of books on Audible, and this is one that if you guys haven't checked it out and are looking for your first audiobook to try, give this one a try. Having gone on about my method of reading / listening to the book, I'm actually going to not go too much into the story of the book. And that is because when I actually started reading it, I've actually even put down on my Goodreads. If you guys haven't downloaded the Goodreads app, you totally should. And you can find me, I will link my Goodreads account name below. It's basically Kay Charbria. And somebody on there had written that they went into reading the book without knowing anything about it and thoroughly enjoyed it more because they didn't know anything. And when I actually started reading it, I understood what the person had said and was like, yeah, it's a good thing I didn't do any more research. So I'm not going to go too much about it, go into too much details about it. The story sort of unravels, and I think as a reader, you guys will enjoy the whole process. Just trust me. The book is really interesting, and I think if you guys like to read fiction books, is one of those books you're going to be happy you read. Really good. The fifth one I'm going to give you guys as my recommendation is actually a classic. So if you want to read a great book and appear smart, this is the one for you. It is The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. Of course we've heard about Oscar Wilde. Of course I had heard about Oscar Wilde, but I hadn't read anything by him till I read this book and was blown away by his writing style. You know, sometimes in school when you're like forced to read these like famous authors, you're reading it and just being like, why was he famous? Thomas Hardy. Please explain to me why Thomas Hardy is famous. But anyhow, back to Oscar Wilde. You read his book and you understand the charm, the beauty of the English language that he writes with, like the way his writing style was just phenomenal. Let's just leave it at that. So in case you guys don't know what this book is about, it is about a man called Dorian Gray who is very handsome and has his picture painted and wants his portrait to age instead of him. And basically it is a story about vanity, it is a story about love, it is a story about a whole bunch of things. It is really well written and is a great and a very gripping book to read. And like I said, it is a classic, which is also an advantage because it is a good book to have read, you know, when you want to appear smart and all. But yes, those are my 5 recommendations for the summer, but I have a bonus one for you. It's actually really sad. I got up and tried to find the book, but I couldn't because I'm moving houses. You would know that if you follow me on Insta stories. I'm moving home, so everything has been packed away. But my 6th book is my shameless plug for the day. It is called Kitty in the City and is written by me. And this book was published 2 years ago. It is published in India, but it was being sold on Amazon. I actually was not happy with the publisher, so I bought the remainder copies of the books. If you go into the Jumbo Electronics store in either Dubai Mall or Mall of the Emirates, you can get the book over there if you live in Dubai. If not, you can download it on the Kindle. All the proceeds for the book actually goes to charity. But yeah, if you are interested in reading the book, read it over there. A lot of people have loved it, including me, of course, because I wrote it. And it is about a 35-year-old girl who lives in Dubai and is trying to find Mr. Right. And it's basically a very quick read about her story and what happens with her. So Kiki is 35 years old, is battling with her weight, battling with her emotions, battling with her life, which is pretty much where I was at 35, which is when I wrote the book 4 years ago. And yeah, it's just a very fun read. It's a very quick read. Like I said, it is a romance novel, and I really hope you guys like it. And yeah, that's it. With that, let me wrap up this video. I hope you guys like my summer recommendations, and if you do, please let me know in the comments below if you've read any of the books, if you've liked them. And more than anything, please, 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 if you guys like to read, especially fiction, please leave your recommendations for me below, because I'm always looking for good books to read. And my camera just died and said, too hot, needs to cool. Pretty much the story of my life in Dubai and everyone else's. With that, I'm going to quickly wrap up this video. Hope you liked my recommendations. Leave your recommendations down below of books that you would like me to read. I think that's it. See you. I will catch you next week. Bye bye.